Guys, you're currently watching a clip from our weekly podcast, Never Onside. The full podcast is available in audio format on Spotify and in video format on YouTube. So go subscribe to us and press on the notifications. It helps us a lot. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Never Onside. Hi, this is Joseph, and joining me as usual is Mayur. Hi, Mayur.
Hi, host. A very good week of football. It's in the closing stages now. The
Yeah,
World Cup just around. So, a good week of football and looking forward to how every league went apart. Good.
yeah.
Let's.
Let's look into the Premier League matches first. And as you can see, Saturday was a day of goals where even the Everton Leicester game, the Wolves Brighton game produced goals. So, but surprisingly, Man City did not blow past Fulham. But that was also a good game, right? And almost all the goals were like almost all the matches were really interesting in the weekend. Did you catch these matches?
Yeah. So, I watched the City Fulham game in depth. Apart from that, the Leeds Bournemouth game, if you haven't watched, you should watch. Leeds came back from 3-1 down. So, an interesting game when JC March is on the
He's
outskirts
turning
of
it
their.
around. He's
Yes,
turning
yes,
it
he's
around
turning around. Yes.
with the Liverpool
So,
win and this goal and this
yes.
win as well. Yeah,
Yes. So to talk about Man City went down to 10 men at 30 minutes. So Cancelo with a silly tackle to
yeah,
get the red card. And we thought it might be a very bad game. City would struggle and the gap between Arsenal and City might get a bit widened. But we saw how City played. So at point it never looked like City were playing with 10 men. The way Pep adjusted, and big credit to Stones, the way he was playing as the right center back or the right wing back coming alongside Rodri as well. So it was a very interesting thing, the way which Pep managed his team after the red card, and he managed to get a win past with Holland coming on and scoring the winning penalty. So an overall interesting game to watch, and the way City dominated even being 10 men down. So that shows their quality. So that was
right,
the
right.
game for the night.
Brighton
So
also seems to have turned a corner and they're playing pretty well, right? Away from home against Wolves is not easy now. Like,
yes, and again they were struggling to find some wins. Now they have got some continuous
momentum.
wins on the on the run. So
Right. And
moving on to
Leicester
the
also have, I think they have kept clean sheets a lot right now. Last six, they have kept
yes,
five or something like that. So
yes,
surprisingly, and for Ward owners who, some people took Iverson instead of Ward, hoping for rotation by Rogers, but it didn't happen. And I have kept Ward on my bench throughout the last 2 3 game weeks, and it's turning back and biting me right now. And let's move on to the Sunday matches. Chelsea against Arsenal, and from the word go, Arsenal dominated the match, and they were building up out from the back, even with Chelsea trying to press. And the issue with Chelsea is that their attacking and defensive players are very wide apart, and you can't do that against someone like an Arsenal or a Brighton who are good in building up play as well. And Arsenal really dominated the game, except for, let's say, they didn't have too many big chances, but finally they found the goal, and deservingly Arsenal won the match and stayed on top of the league as well.
So
Yeah.
just to term it in a Bollywood movie, you see those scenes where the hero like dodges every bullet, everything. So it was a similar way. Like Arsenal came out with answer to every question which Chelsea asked. They were like, even if Chelsea played like for 3 hours, 4 hours, I didn't think Chelsea would
Yeah,
score
right,
till that
right.
time. So it was
Right.
a very dominant performance from Arsenal, going at Stamford Bridge and claiming
Yes.
that top spot. So a
If
very good,
Thiago
very
Silva was not playing, I think it should have been 5-0 or 6-0. Like, you could see very clearly that one person was making all the right, decisions in that Chelsea side. And going forward, Chelsea were like struggling too much. Like, I feel bad for the strikers, Aubameyang and Sterling, and people who are not getting enough service. So it's something that Potter has to address, especially against sides who are really well set. They seem to struggle against those sides. And next one is the Aston Villa United match, and this was Unai Emery's first match, and there are no surprises here because I knew this was going to happen. I thought it would be 1-0, 2-0 down, and United would come back to get a draw at least, because you could see that United, when they wanted, were creating chances. It's just that they couldn't keep the move together till they reached the penalty box. And Ronaldo had a lot of chances as well. It came out just to the finishing, and the one goal we scored was a volley by Shaw, which took a kind deflection and went in. So Aston Villa looked very solid. So I've always thought of Aston Villa as a side who has the personnel to, cause trouble to big teams. And Unai Emery is a perfect manager to, get that kind of a job with that kind of players in his side. And I'm sure he'll do well in the coming years. It's just that Aston Villa progressively have not been able to keep momentum, or two games they play really well, and then the third game they get beaten 4-0. So they don't sustain that period of momentum that they had. So that is the only issue I have with them. And with United, I knew this was going to happen. We were missing some of our key players. And I was reading an article which was saying that United is by no means a finished article, and you should expect, on the road, some matches we will lose like this. Yeah.
Definitely, that's a work in progress. So this is a byproduct of it. So let's move on to the high flying Magpies. So currently Newcastle, let it be home, let it be away, let it be a top six side, they aren't fear like they aren't looking for anything. They are just going out, playing their football and scoring goals for fun. And the way
Right.
they are keeping tight defense as well, they are not letting score many people. So
And something I've noticed with Newcastle is that in the second half they let loose. They absolutely go and kill teams in the second half. Like in the past games, that is what has happened. And Almiron is a revelation now. I never expected this guy to turn up in any of the matches, except like he would score once in like 15 matches. That would be a worldie of a goal. But now he's coming up with goals every game week. It's surprising how he has turned it around, and how Eddie Howe has got him firing now.
yes, and they are currently third, sitting on the points table. So definitely they will be challenging for the European spots, and it will be fun how they come once we are back in the season for the second half of the season.
Right.
Yes, so let's move on and end our Premier League with the main match of the day. It was Spurs versus Liverpool. So, host, did you get any time to watch this game?
I just watched some bits of it because I was busy working, and Salah scored a good. He got a good chance and he converted it. Spurs were not great, right? As
Yes.
usual, they were struggling.
So you can clearly see they missed Son, they missed Kulusevski. In the second half, Spurs tried to come back, and when Kulusevski came, he just created his magic, and they scored a goal within like just 2-3 minutes of his coming on. So we definitely see they are lacking their players. They want that creativity. Apart from Kulusevski, they generally lack creativity when Kane is not playing with his usual partner Son. So it's a creativity issue, and I think in January they might be looking at some creative attacking midfielder who they can get and probably push for the top four spots. But apart from that,
Right.
a statement victory from Liverpool as well. They took their chances. Darwin is absolutely fun to watch, the way he takes all those shots and everything. It's always fun to watch him. And Salah just came out with the brace and gave points and scored as well. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it for Premier League. Now let's move on